Hey guys, Zoose here. So here we have a Summon AERY Keystone page for Orianna. Now, Orianna is actually one of the few champs that can actually use this shield for the Summon AERY. Apart from that, really good damage, great poke in lane, and she's going to make really good use of that damage with auto attacks as well as a poke with her Q and W. And, I mean, you could always go Arcane Combat too. I feel like Arcane Combat's always great on any sort of mage that does a lot of burst damage. But someone like Orianna who really dominates lane, you want to just take advantage of that, and Summon AERY really does that a lot better. Until this is nerfed, I feel like this is just going to be the strongest. It's already been nerfed a little bit, but it's still just so good, and the spam ability of this and the amount of times it's up just makes it so much better than Arcane Comment. Although Arcane Comment can always be used, say you can't get any Qs in, maybe you're up against a really good Syndra, you feel like a little bit unconfident, maybe you have some other sort of, maybe a really long range champion like Xerath, which I still doubt. You want to still, you know, take advantage of that laning phase that Orianna has. Arcane Comment can be an option. The first rune you want to get is Mana Flow Band. Of course, that mana is really important for that lane harass. You want to keep that mana up. You always want to have enough to just harass and push the wave if you have to. Sometimes people are going to push the wave into you. You're going to have to counter push. You're going to have to balance that wave out, thin it out. And this is going to help you do that. Second rune you want to get is Transcendence. That 10% CDR is great on Orianna. Any sort of CDR is going to be good, and you're going to get that Morello nice and early too with this at 10 minutes. I mean at level 10. And you're going to have a lot of CDR, about 30 within, I'd say, 10 minutes. And this is going to add up. And of course, she may even go over with that blue buff and another item like Zhonya's perhaps if you're going to buy it. And we've already got perfect timing here. So building Zhonya is going to be really efficient, and with that extra, another 10% from Zhonya's, you're going to hit the cap, and that CDR cap that converts it to adaptive bonus damage is going to help you. Scorch as the last rune in the sorcery path, and this is going to make that laning phase even a little bit stronger. Scorch is always great on any sort of poke and harass lane or champion, and this really lets you do that. Gathering of the Storm is always a great option. If you feel like the earlier game is going to be boring, just a farm lane, say every lane's a scaling lane, and you really just want to keep in there to the late game, this is going to be much better. 10 times better for late game, and this is just better in the early game. So that's probably the only real consideration I would have for the rest of these runes. Perhaps Celerity in here, but again, this is just too good for her. So the second path you want to take is Inspiration and Perfect Timing as the first rune. Now, Biscuit Deliveries can always be an option too, but someone like Orianna who's got a shield, you're going to have 2 potions with the Doran's Ring. This isn't that necessary, and you'd rather make more efficient use of that gold and save up with a, you know, a perfect timing. Stopwatch is really going to help you early on, especially for some laning phases. Say up against Syndra or Zed, this is just going to save you that extra death that you could just survive with this, because you can pretty much negate their entire ultimate damage with this item alone. And even though it's only one use, it's still much more efficient than everything else. You could always get Magical Footwear as a second rune, but I actually went for Cosmic Insight because we're getting Transcendence, and she gets a lot of CDR. This is so nice. You're gonna have 45 CDR pretty quickly in this game, especially if you rush Zhonya's as the second item after Morello. You're gonna have a lot of CDR. It's gonna add up here, and you're just gonna do much better with this over this. But Magic Footwear, again, really consider it, since she has a W with a bit of a speed up and a shield. Boots aren't that necessary, but so this can always make use of that. But again, it's up to you. These two I think are evenly just as good. This is slightly better, but try this out, let me know how it goes, and I'll go move on to the items now. So one of the first items you usually get on most AP mages, and especially Orianna too, is the Morellonomicon. Now this is great, amazing mana, amazing AP, great power spike with this, and the 20% cooldown, as well as the reduction of the healing is just extra. Even that extra passive of kill and assist, restoring 20% of your mana. The best item by far as your first item. Components are really good as well. I mean, it just builds from Finished Codex and of course the Lost Chapter. One of the first items you want to buy in laning phase. It's just going to help you. That mana is just way too good not to get first. Sometimes you may need to rush Zhonya's as maybe your second item, or even if you want to get, I'd say, Seekers into a Zed or something like that, where maybe they have an AD jungler as well. This can always be a good, you know, first or second item, and because of that passive that allows you to grants you pretty much armor and AP, so this can also be an option too. So Boots is a second item, really good. That movement's going to help you get to lane quicker, dodge skill shots in mid lane, and just slowly build up that speed. And of course, that magic pen is really good too. Ludens, great item, good for burst, and that movement speed is just that extra too. So with boots and with that 10% movement speed and the the damage you get from this, it's going to complete that burst. You'll start one-shotting people after this item for sure. Leandria's is, these two can be switched around depending on how much MR they have. I would say if they're all starting to build MR, maybe you have a few AP carries on your team, and enemy team has noticed and they're going to build some MR, you definitely want to get Void. But apart from that, if everything else is going fine, you want to build the Haunting guys into Leandri's. This is such a good item. I cannot emphasize this enough. Every single time I see mid laners who don't get this, they're missing out on so much damage, especially when they have 1 or 2 tanks. The enemy team early on, that burn that this does is just way too good, and that health. This is such a good item at the moment, so definitely get this as your 4th. Zhonya's can always be the 3rd item here, but generally you're going to be fine. You're going to stay in a pretty safe position as Orianna, and you're basically waiting for your team to go in, and then you want to throw the ball in. And so safety is not the biggest concern, but if they do have a Zed and he's looking at you and he's constantly focusing you, Zhonya's is one of the best items for that. Now Rabadon's one of the most power focused items. Just the amount of burst this can give you once you have enough AP is insane, but how it's very rare that you will need this. It's one of the most expensive, actually the most expensive item. The build path is really awkward towards the end too. You're usually going to be sitting on like 2,800 gold before you can really get this. But this is definitely, if you're really fed and you're carrying, you're probably going to need this. So keep that in mind over Zhonya's if you're really fed and you really need to carry. And Banshees, if you're constantly getting caught out and they have Zoe or Syndra, these long range stuns, and you're just constantly getting caught out, Banshees is always your go-to, especially with that magic resist as well. And since we did get Transcendence, that extra cooldown is not going to be put to waste. It's going to give you some extra AP, so keep that in mind too. So try that out, let me know how it goes, and I'll see you in the next video.